Hello viewers, welcome to AC Cloud. My name is Arvind. Today we'll be learning how to domain join an AC2 instance using Ansible Roles and via Ansible Tower. So let me just take you to our task where today we'll be domain joining a Windows EC2 instance and Linux EC2 instance, and after that we will do a ping test with the domain credentials, and we will also execute an Ansible role with a domain credential. For this, the prerequisites for domain using domain credential is that Ansible Tower should be domain joined, and after that we need to make some modification in the krb.configuration file. Let me just show you what kind of configuration changes that we need to make. So as I said earlier, the Ansible Tower should be already joined to a domain, and there are some packages that is required to make some configuration changes. Are these kerberos packages needs to be installed in the server, and we need to update this particular file in the Ansible Tower server. Only then the Ansible Tower will be able to communicate with the EC2 instance using the domain credentials. Okay, so let me just take you to the Ansible Tower now. Okay, this particular Ansible Tower server is already domain joined. So what we have to do is we need to just make the changes in the KRB file. So let me just take you there. The path is etc krb.conf. vi etc krb5.conf. This is the file we need to make the changes. If you see the server configuration file, so it is already updated with our domain, since the domain join is already done. So there are some setting that we need to change here is after the default realm, need to change the some options here. This realm settings needs to be changed. So here, what we have to do is we need to update here with our Easy Cloud end and our DNS server complete FQDN. So okay, let's come back from this file and let's get our FQDN of our DNS server. So the IP of our DNS server is this. If you see here, this is our domain server, and this is our DNS server FQDN. Okay, so I've just copied it. So I'm just going to the file. I'm gonna update here. Okay, so in place of example.com, we need to give our domain in caps. That is easycloud.int. It's done. And next KDC we need to update here. Instead of kerberos.example.com, we need to give our complete FQDN of our DNS server. So that is this one. Okay. So this particular configuration update is very important, because if you do not do this, then the Ansible Tower will not be able to communicate with the server using the domain credentials. Okay, I'm just going to save this file. Okay, and I think we need to log in with the root here. I'm just going to edit this again. Since the last time I was not in root, that's the reason it didn't happen. Just switch to root user now. That's it. Save the file. So the configuration file has been saved here. So next, what we have to do here is need to update the inventories, for which we will be doing a domain join. Okay. So the Ansible Tower configuration is run to do the domain join and to use the domain credentials. So we need to create an inventory now. So let's create a new inventory. So I'll just put Windows -AD just for our reference, and I'm going to update the host file here. So I already have a Windows server and the winrm is configured. Here. So it is done. Okay, we need to do something here. So we need to copy this configuration, this variables from this to use it here. If you see here, since as a domain join, we will be first using the Ansible winrm transport basic. Since for the first time we'll be doing a domain join using our local credentials, using default credentials. Later we will change it to the kerberos when we are using the AD credentials. Okay, so we have created an inventory for Windows. So let's go ahead and create the inventory for Linux as well. So Linux from AD. Okay, created to the host and update the IP here. Okay, we have updated the host for both Linux and Windows here. So let's do a ping test and check once if it is communicating. Go to the host. I'm going to use winping here. Use Windows credential. So if you want to know how to configure winrm in Windows, you can check our previous video wherein I have explained how to enable the winrm. Okay, the ping is successful. So let's do a ping test for Linux as well. Okay, both are successful now. So let's go ahead and create a project. So since we're going to do a domain join, I've already created a domain join role and I've updated in the GitHub. So we're going to get the domain join from the GitHub. So I'm just going to create a project. Domain join. And I'm going to select Git here. And the link would be here. And we need to select the credentials as well, since it's a private GitHub repository. Now save now. Okay, now we'll go here and update the repos domain join so that the domain join playbook from the GitHub repository it will be downloaded to our projects folder in the Ansible Tower. So let me this is our Ansible role, which is used for the domain join. So as I explained in our previous video how the Ansible role has been created and how it has been executed. The same way here also we have implemented the same. So this is domain join.yml file is the first file which will be executed here, which will tell you where exactly the role is present. So if you see here the host all we are given here since the host details are being given in the inventory in the Ansible Tower, and in the roles module we are telling the role where exactly the role is. So in from the current directory it is inside the roles slash domain join slash inside where we have all the files, tasks and variables are stored. Okay, so let me take you there. So as I said earlier, files, task and wars folder. So inside the files, we have one file called Python pexpect, which will be used in our playbook to install this package. That's the reason we have placed it in the files. Okay, let me explain you in the task. So main.yml file is a first file in the task which will be executed. Let me show you this main.yml file. So if you see here, there are two tasks here. One is for Windows and one is for rhel. So based on the OS, the playbook will be selected here. So if it is Windows, it will select the windows.yml file, and if it is Red Hat, it will select the redhat.yml. Based on the OS, if the condition met, then it will select the no playbook accordingly. Okay, and here let me explain the for rhel for the Linux server here. So EPEL repo is required in order to install some packages for the domain join. That's the reason we are using this. We are installing this uh, the EPEL repo from this particular link, and we are updating the repo using clean all and repo list. Once after that, we are installing these packages for the domain join purpose. So if you have seen in a previous video wherein we have installed these packages to do the domain join in Linux. Yeah, so yeah, after installing this, there is some file Python or pexpect file need to be installed to do the domain join. So this file we saw in the files folder, right? We are copying this from there to the destination. So here, and we are installing it. So the reason why we are using this Python pexpect is because the Ansible is written in Python, right? It uses this particular module in order to use for the domain join. So while doing domain join, while after giving the user, it will prompt for the password, right? So here instead of prompting for password, it will directly give the password using this pexpect. So it will expect for a password wherein we'll provide the password in the playbook itself. So after, yeah, and after that we are updating the host file here. If you see the domain DNS IP with a complete DNS FQDN and the host name of the DNS server. Same way here also we are updating the second DNS IP. Okay, after updating the host file here, we are using this command here to do the domain join. If you see here, rhel join user, the domain username and the DNS name hyphen membership software ADCL. This is the command that is that we are using to do the domain join. So responses password and the password we have given in the variable file. So as I said earlier, right, the pexpect that we installed here. So we are using this pexpect module to do the domain join because it is expecting a password. So we need to use this. We are using this module to fulfill our condition here. So once this is done, next thing is we are updating the Pseudos file. If you see here in our previous video how manually we updated the Pseudos file, here we are using this in line in file to update the Pseudos file. So once after doing that, we are enabling the SSHD. So we are enabling the SSHD by using this replace module where the password authentication no will be replaced by password authentication yes and restart the SSHD. Once this is done, the Linux domain join is completed. Okay, so let's go for the Windows now. Here, so we manually updated the DNS IP in the change adapter settings, right? IPv4. Same way, we are giving the Ec2 IPs, DNS IPs here, and we have declared this IPs in the variable file. I will show you next. And the domain name, and domain user, and domain password, state domain, register domain state, and we are rebooting the server after the domain join. Yeah, since for Windows we need to reboot after the domain join, that's the reason we are giving this win reboot, domain join, reboot. Okay, after this, let me show you the variable file where we have declared all the users, domain and IPs and all this permission. You see here DNS name Easy Cloud, and domain name Arvind, and the password here for the domain join, and the IPs of our DNS server. Okay. So this is the basic understanding you need to have regarding the playbook. So this is a playbook which can be used for domain join, even for other OS flavor. In case if you have, we can use the same, wherein there will be some slight modification, but you can use this playbook to do domain join for both Linux and Windows. Okay, and next let's go ahead and install the playbook now. So we're gonna we got the inventory updated and projects and credentials after ping test is successful. Let's go ahead and create a template now. So first let's do domain join for Windows. So I'm just gonna give name domain join and inventory. I'm gonna select AD Windows, and project will be domain join, playbook domain join YML, credential will be Windows. That's it. So I'm gonna click on save. Launch. Okay, it's installing. Go change, the task is executing, and is the server's domain joined, and now it is rebooting. Okay, it's running. So after reboot, it will also confirm whether it is on or not. Okay, let's go and try to check here whether we are able to log in to the Windows server or not. It's connected. Let's log in with our domain credentials. Okay, it's logged in. See, the domain join for Windows Server is completed. Okay, the domain join for the Windows Server is completed. Next, we will do domain join for Linux server, and just create another template here. Domain join Linux. Let's select inventory as Linux AD. Project would be domain join, and playbook would be domain join YML. Credentials would be Linux credentials. Save and launch. Okay, it will take some time here to install all the packages and to domain join. Whereas for Linux, the reboot won't happen since only for Windows it is mandatory. For Linux, Red Hat it is not. So it won't take much time for the reboot. So it will install all the packages and do update and change all the configuration file. Okay. In the meanwhile, let me just explain you some more things here. So today what we have done till now is, so we have configured the Kerberos file, configuration file in the Ansible Tower, so that the Ansible Tower will communicate with the servers using the domain credentials. Okay, and we have also learned what are the changes that we need to make in the inventory. So here, till now, in the inventory files variable, we have just used Ansible winrm transport as basic. So that is for using local users. Since we are now using domain credentials to log in or to ping test or to execute any playbook using domain credential, that winrm transport should be Kerberos. So we need to update this particular variable in the inventory file. Okay, so let me just go to the server. Yeah, it is successful now. Let's try to log in with the domain credentials. Click on new and the server open. I'm gonna give domain credentials here. Okay, it's logged in successfully. So let's try to switch user and check. Okay, see, the switch user was successful. Okay, let's try to go, do a ping test using the domain credentials. Okay, it is done here. Let's create a credential. So name would be AD credential. I'm going to select here machine. Username would be admin at int. Okay, so here the username would be in small and the domain will be in caps for the Windows. We need to make sure we are updated correctly. If not, the domain, you will not be able to log in with using the domain credentials. And the privilege escalation method should be run as for Windows. Let me just mention here Windows. Okay. Okay, next credential for Linux. Linux. And here I'm going to select machine. Here will be admin at ec2. Here it will be all small caps. Only for Windows the domain should be in caps. So here the username, everything will be in small letters, and we will not be selecting any privilege escalation method here. Click on save. Okay, done. Let's go and do a ping test using the domain credential. Let's first do it for Windows. Here, as I said earlier, we were previously using the basic here, so this time it would be Kerberos. Since it is using Kerberos authentication now, that's the reason we're updating the variable. Now we need to update the host here. So previously, when we were using the local user or the default user, we were using the IP address of the private IP address of the server for the Windows. But when we're using the domain credential, we need to use the host name of the server. So let's go get the host name of the server here. Okay. It's loading now. Okay. Go to host name. Let's go ahead and update here. Dot cloud.ia. Okay, save. Okay, let's go and do a ping test now. Okay, it is done. So make sure you update the inventory file when you're using the domain credentials. So mainly the Ansible winrm transport should be Kerberos and the host should be uh, host name. Okay. So next, what we're gonna do here is let's try to execute a Ansible Playbook in one of the server using domain credentials. So previously in our previous video, we installed HTTPD and a static website, right? So we'll use the same playbook to install and host the static web server. Okay. So that would be GitHub. Here we'll be using the same here. So we are okay. So let's create a new template. So that would be okay. Can you like HTTPD and domain credentials just for our reference. So I'm going to select Linux AD. Project would be GitHub Playbook. Though we updated in the GitHub private, right? So HTTPD roles credential would be AD Linux credentials. Okay, enable privilege escalation, save. I'm going to execute this. Before executing, let me just check whether it's installed or not. Virtual web server. Okay, currently I think there are no web server hosted here. Let's go ahead and launch this. Okay, so we need to update the sudo password here. Let's go ahead and update the credentials here. Since it's using the sudo root access, what we need to do here is privilege escalation password here. And click on save. go to jobs. So I'm going to rerun this all. Okay, so I think connection got succeeded and it is installing the packages. Okay, it's successful. Let's refresh it and check. Okay, let's check the security groups here. Okay, I think the security group was the problem here. So let's go in, allow all traffic anywhere and save. So let's try now. Okay, see, we are able to see the static website that we just hosted. Still loading here. You can see the website here. So today what we have learned is how to domain join Windows EC2 instance and Linux EC2 instance, ping test with the domain credentials, and Ansible role execution with domain credentials. Okay, and the prerequisites also we have checked here, how to update the configuration file here, KRB configuration file, and how to update the inventory here with this variables after when we are using the domain credential, and we need to use complete hostname for the Windows server for using the domain credentials. And also we have hosted a static website in one of the servers. Okay, and thank you for watching our video. If you like this video, please click on like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.